I was doing a lot of driving. It gave me an opportunity to listen to SiriusXM's Big 80s on 8 channel. And as the tunes took me back to my younger years, I couldn't help but compare how things were then and how they are today. Now, as a kid, I was able to be a kid because grown-ups who acted like grown-ups were in charge in the 1980s. Oh, how times have changed. Remembering when America's government was pro-American and competent, a trip down memory lane in tonight's preamble. In the 1980s, Ronald Wilson Reagan was our president. In contrast to today, President Reagan believed in doing what was best for the American people. Securing our blessings of liberty for future generations was paramount to him. Reagan faced left-wing extremists abroad and here at home. Leaders of the Democrat Party back then, like Senator Ted Kennedy, actually colluded with the Soviet Union to defeat Ronald Reagan's re-election. Ted Kennedy knew, as did high-ranking Soviet officials, that if Reagan's plans came to fruition, the Soviet Union would collapse, and that left-wing thought would be dealt a blow it wouldn't be able to recover from for decades. In a secret letter written to Soviet General Secretary Yuri Andropov, the traitorous Ted Kennedy said he was eager to counter the militaristic policies of Reagan and undermine his prospects for re-election in 1984. For his part, Kennedy would deploy fake news to a compliant press. Kennedy said he could work with the American Big Three news networks to engineer positive news coverage for Andropov and other Soviet officials. Kennedy was certain he could bring along noted left-wingers in the media like Walter Cronkite and Barbara Walters to travel to Moscow to do softball interviews with the Soviet premier. The idea was to contrast the peace-loving Soviets with the warmongering Ronald Reagan and prompt Americans to actually side with communists by voting for Democrats. The gambit failed. Freedom won as the Democrat Party lost. And the Soviet Union, well, the authors of tens of millions of deaths, well, the Soviet Union fell. Fast forward to today, Reagan's legacy is nowhere to be found in America's government, where we used to see devoted Americans working to safeguard our protections under the Constitution in the 1980s. In Joe Biden's government, officials work to sacrifice our people's best interests and our freedoms on the altar of globalism and a centralized government control. Case in point, Joe Biden had a phone meeting with the communist dictator of China, Xi Jinping. Joe Biden was talking tough before the meeting, his handlers stating that China would suffer consequences if they aided Putin with his war in Ukraine. We knew something was fishy when the incompetent and decidedly anti-American U.S. State Department couldn't exactly articulate what constituted help or exactly what consequences the barbarous genocidal state would suffer if they defied Joe Biden's line in the sand. Then the meeting took place. Joe Biden told CNN that the meeting, quote, went well. The Chi-Coms had a different story to tell. After the call, high-ranking Chinese officials continued to accuse the United States and Europe of instigating the conflict in Ukraine and continued to amplify absurd Russian justifications for going to war. Now, we can confirm tonight that China wasn't at all persuaded to make guarantees that they wouldn't interfere and help Putin out in his war. It's my belief that China doesn't take any American threats seriously because they know they're dealing with a weak, mentally diminished Joe Biden, and not a strong leader like Ronald Reagan or Donald Trump. And that leads us to one of the big stories that broke while I was on vacation. It was concerning Hunter Biden's laptop. Now, that wasn't the breaking news. Now, you've been watching Newsmax since the 2020 election. You knew all about that laptop because, well, we told you. The breaking news was that the New York Times, the unfair, biased, old, tired, and gray lady, the newspaper that doesn't do news, the source that the entirety of the left-wing press takes their cues from, the New York Times finally admitting that the Hunter Biden laptop story was real. Well, what do they care? They were successful in installing the most anti-American regime since Barack Hussein Obama. So it was mission accomplished as far as the Times is concerned. But now, all you left-wingers out there who are silly enough to read the Times and rely on it for news, well, now you all know that the New York Times lied to you, or at worst, or they suck at their job at best. And all of those social media users out there and other biased press patrons, you all know the same. As a reminder, the New York Post broke this story just before the 2020 election. The story revealed that according to files found on Hunter Biden's laptop, the Biden family had been busy making themselves filthy rich courtesy of influence peddling to nations like Ukraine. Hunter Biden introduced his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, to a top executive at a Ukrainian energy firm less than a year before the elder Biden pressured government officials in Ukraine into firing a prosecutor who was investigating the company, Burisma, according to emails obtained by the Post. You know, strange. That's the very thing that left-wing Democrats impeached President Trump for doing, remember? The first illegitimate impeachment alleged that Trump withheld military aid to Ukraine to prompt them into investigating Democrats' dirty dealings in that country. Phone call between Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky was called improper by Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. Oh, say, can you see? It was actually not improper, as the released transcripts revealed to us. Aside from the evidence from the laptop, we have this video evidence of Joe Biden doing what Trump was impeached for doing.
I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money.
Not to heap all of the blame on the New York Times, CNN, the leader of biased left-wing propaganda on cable, they too had undertaken suppression of the factual Hunter Biden laptop story. Responsible conservative journalists called out CNN and their principal propagandist, little Brian Stelter, for not having the integrity to correct their egregious and, I believe, intentional suppression of legitimate news that may indeed compromise the safety and security of the United States because they facilitated the election of Joe Biden, a man who was clearly compromised by foreign governments. So, back to my vacation. In between songs from Prince, the B-52s, Pat Benatar, and Michael Jackson, didn't hear the Cars, I found my mind wandering back to a time when the GOP had testicular fortitude, when America's government was pro-American, and when we had a leader in the Oval Office we could trust to keep us safe and free. We don't have that today, and it's largely of our own doing. To turn this thing around, we have to bring back something we've lost in this country. We have to bring back something called accountability. When entire political parties are dedicated to anti-Americanism like the Democrat Party is today, they have to be punished by being driven from power. Unlike yesterday's GOP that never investigated Senator Kennedy for his traitorous actions, today's GOP must hold Democrats accountable for their misdeeds. And if the current leadership of the Republican Party, if you're not up to the task, then you too should be driven from office by we the people. And a top-down house cleaning has to be done to purge anti-American operatives who are now more loyal to China, Russia, and Iran from our government. Then we have to punish left-wing press outlets that betray Americans' trust. Stop watching their channels, stop buying their papers, and then insist that shameless charlatans in Congress can't use our tax dollars to bail out state-run media. The only people who can make these changes are you. That is, if you've had enough of this garbage yet. I can tell you I have.